Hi guys, welcome back to the Joe Silverback Show. I am your host, Joe Bunton, and today we're going to talk about Transcendent Experience. Transcendent Experience as a religious experience, or an experience that happens that alters your normal state of day-to-day consciousness and puts you in a place where oftentimes people who, appreciate music get lifted up to and are transcended from the everyday ordinary consciousness. Transcendent or religious experience can be a result of many different things, but almost invariably it's a result of a discipline. Somebody's discipline may be just listening to symphony or beautiful classical music, and this transcends that person. Somebody may be playing a musical instrument and hit, after years and years of study and practice, may just hit a zone where they are in some kind of uplifting or transcendent place. In terms of religious experience, that really makes no difference what your religious background is. It makes only the difference what your meditative, contemplative, daily activity is, the discipline that you do that actually creates the foundation for the transcendent experience, let's say. In my own personal experience, I'm now in the process of finishing a novel. It's a somewhat biographical, as all fiction is, but it's a fiction novel that really takes this character from his childhood into his middle age, and it's based on my experiences, throughout my childhood into my middle age. And if I reflect back, I can see that I was always attracted to that which is transcendent, or that which allows us or brings us, assists us to have that elevated, enlightened, this is it kind of feeling. And it's really interesting because, the older we get, the wiser hopefully we become, and part of wisdom is getting to know thyself, and know thyself is coming to understand that there's a certain special set of cellular combinations and chemical combinations that make up the Joseph Bunton, Joe Silverback personality, just as those same chemical arrangements make up your personality. And part of wisdom is coming to accept our uniqueness. And in accepting our uniqueness, we don't want to become or be like anybody else. We just want to be the best me, or best I, or best you that we can possibly become. And that too is part of the transcendent experience. It's just do what you do and do it the best you can, and that in itself will elevate you. So those are some profound things that have already been said. Now, going back into my own life, I'm born a twin. So as being born a twin, I was born with an ability in the womb to already connect the consciousness with another sentient being. And I was born, as I describe it, as married in the womb. Married where the idea of the two becoming one, the union of the two into the one. And the union of the two into the one, what makes a beautiful marriage really is when, your marriage partner says something before you say it, because you're so in line, in attune, consciousness-wise. And being born as a twin, my twin brother and I could read each other's thoughts, and we just grew up believing that we had the same thoughts, because his thoughts and my thoughts were crossing over all the time. And I think because of that, but also just because of the other part of my personality that I was born into, I was able to get some literature that turned me on to awareness that this is not just happening with me, this is happening with millions of other people, and there's actually names for these kind of experiences. And so in my earliest years, I became aware of myself being able to tap into other intelligence in the natural world. I would take a dog named Max into the canyons with me, and I read Max's thoughts, and I knew Max was inside my thoughts, and I learned to read the energy of the sycamore and the oak trees of the canyons that I grew up in. And then later, birds, I would connect with the sentient beings and energies of other animals. Fast forward, well, not fast forward too much. So then I had, I got drawn into and attracted to Christianity and the Bible study and doing good in the world, and then I was on a retreat with an ecumenical Christian church, and our church was a traditional Catholic church, and we stayed up late with the leaders of their church. I was one of the leaders, and I must have been 14 years old, and we were staying up late packing the lunches for the kids, right, the younger kids, and I was asked if I had ever seen a laying on of hands. I said no. They asked if they could do that, in front of me with each other, and they did, and then they asked if I wanted to do it, and I said yes. And I'm not going to go into it too much right here. You can, email me or ask for my book or something, and I can share more of this. I've shared this with people who really want to go into that transcendent experience a little bit more. But I had a very, very powerful experience, and it changed my life forever. I've had since then several of these experiences, and associated with different religious practices. So at the time, this was a Christian practice. At another time, I was with a Buddhist and Zen and other meditation groups, and then I, on my own, learned chanting, and I studied yoga and chakras and energy and Hinduism, and essentially, I think I was born with a yogic personality, an ascetic personality. So this aesthetic personality got me intrigued, and I had plenty of my own personal, have had and always will have these out-of-body experiences. And at 24, I met a wise man, and he was 74, and it was the last 10 years of his life, and he became my writing mentor, and he became my spiritual coach, and the discipline that I learned from him was to write haiku. He asked me if it would appeal to me to write haiku, and nature haiku, which is haiku just about nature. So I sat for the next 3 years every single day at the seashore writing haiku for a couple hours a day before going to work, and then coming back home after work and editing these and revising these. And then for the next 2 years after that, I continued to write my haiku every day, and then I added one-line inspirational vignettes. And all of the haiku and the one-line inspirational vignettes were designed to answer the question, how is it done in nature, and how can nature help us, and what exactly is our connection and relationship to nature. And through sitting at the seashore I ended up doing this for 30 years, and looking out to sea I would get myself in this kind of haiku-esque aha moment, trance-like state, and I would do my writing, and any kind of writing that I've done since then, and produced my first book, and wrote about my family experience. But what I want to point out there is that the discipline of sitting at the seashore and looking out to sea, that became my meditation, that became my contemplation, that became my self-reflection, that became my know thyself. And that did become the foundation from which wisdom has been able to enter into my desired state of consciousness. And I say those words, select them very carefully, because my desired state of consciousness was and has been for a long, long time to allow wisdom to enter. And I think that that's really, really important, that we understand that the universe does bring us that which we focus our attention on most. So if you're focusing on, making the best apple pie, your universe is probably gonna, introduce you to Julia Childs and a bunch of other chefs and bakers and recipes. And if your attention is, at, becoming a star athlete, the same thing. So when you're ready for wisdom to enter as part of a know thyself and as a part of becoming part of your transcendental consciousness, then you'll attract and draw that, and that's probably why you're reaching out to this station, because there's something that, intuitively links like minds and like consciousness and like intelligence together. And one of the things that I can encourage you to do is not just study contemporary literature, and not just study contemporary psychology, but study history in whatever field that you're interested in, because history gives you perspective, and perspective opens up your mind to a larger frame of consciousness evolving. And it's only when you understand that consciousness is not a stagnant thing, nor is it a stationary thing, and that it's somehow connected to every atom and every cell and everything in the living universe. At that point, you will be able to, have hummingbirds come up to you and whisper things to you, and see the red-shouldered hawks in the canyon soaring up above, and understand that you're connected to, an intelligent network, that you can learn from them and they are learning from you. And the more that you can understand that we're all part of this web of life, interconnected, just start doing that. Opening up your consciousness to a vast array of intelligence all around you that you're part of. Namaste.